So many people use Instagram story highlights as a content dumping ground, somewhere that they occasionally update, but more often than not completely forget about for months on end. And this is why you do not want to do that. Instagram story highlights are really, really powerful. They can be really powerful. They can act as a mini website for you, accelerating the know, like, and trust factor with your audience, but only if they are considered and they are strategic. If you are new to Instagram story highlights, they are essentially old Instagram stories. Content you've shared to Instagram stories that you can now save down on your grid, on your Instagram profile permanently. So yes, the content does have to be old, it does have to be past. You can't share new content to your Instagram story highlights that you've never shared on Instagram stories before. Now, the reason Instagram story highlights are so powerful and do have so much potential is because of the way that people use Instagram. And the reason I call them a mini website of sorts is because a lot of people are never going to leave Instagram to check out your website. There's a huge proportion of people in your audience, within your followers, that won't leave Instagram. They will consume your content, they may feel like they know you, they love the content you're putting out, but they won't necessarily go to your website. It takes a lot for people to do that. And Instagram makes it difficult for people to do that. That's why there is only one place where you can have a URL, the link in your bio, unless you have 10,000 followers. And even then, if you have 10,000 followers, you can have a link in your Instagram stories to your website, to your YouTube channel, whatever it is. But even then, people don't love leaving Instagram because Instagram makes the experience so much fun and people like to stay on the app. Swiping through stories, scrolling through their feed, watching reels, you name it, they're doing it. And so for that reason, if not that many people are going to check out your website, how can we bring your website to them? How can we give them a very similar experience so that they are really, really excited to take that next step with you, whether that's to invest in your product or work with you or check out your services, whatever that might be. So I'm only going to talk about 5 Instagram story highlights because when you look at most smartphones, you can only see about 4 or 5 Instagram story highlights before you have to start swiping through. And no one's going to do that. So I'm not going to focus on any more than 5 highlights. If you have 8, 9, 15 Instagram story highlights. I don't actually know what the maximum is, but if you have more than 7 or 8 Instagram story highlights, I would wager a guess that not anybody is looking at that content. No one is going to sit through your highlights and get all the way to that 7th, 8th, 9th one. So I would forget about those and I would just focus on your first 4 or 5. With those 5 highlights, I want you to imagine those little circles as stepping stones, guiding new people, new followers through your story so that they can learn more about you, your business, what you have to offer, so that by the 5th highlight, they are really excited to take that next step. They are ready to check out your latest product collection. They are ready to fill out an application form or book a sales call or send you a DM to chat further about working together. That is the journey we want to take people on from highlight 1 to highlight 5. Highlight 1 is aimed at those people who know nothing about you. They really know nothing at all. And this is your opportunity to start introducing yourself and your business to them. And then highlight 5 is aimed at those people who feel like they know, like, and trust you a good amount and they are ready to take that next step. So how can we create content? How can we create highlights that are really geared towards that journey and those 2 types of people? And how can we take people on an organic journey? Here is an example structure and order of Instagram story highlights that could be applied to you, whether you're a service provider, a product-based business, a coach, a creative, a consultant. This is a template that you can use and adapt to suit you. So number 1 is about me or our story. The 2nd highlight is behind the scenes. The 3rd highlight is testimonials or customer love, customer feedback. The 4th highlight is services or what I offer or our latest collection. And the 5th highlight is buy now or let's chat or book me, whatever that relevant call to action is for your business. So the first one is you literally telling people about who you are, what your business is about. You can let your personality shine here. It doesn't have to be super business-like, super formal. For example, with my first Instagram story highlight, I have hello, and in that highlight, it's much more kind of candid, personal content. It's content taken from a day in the life, it's content about Winston, content about moments from my day. So it can be a little bit more candid, a bit more personal. The second highlight is really starting to bring people into your world. So this could be where you take people behind the scenes of your process or behind the scenes of how your products are made, or it could be you talking about your brand values and why they are important to you. The third highlight is testimonials, or that customer feedback. This is so crucial to building trust with your audience and showing them that other people are already loving what you have to offer, what you are selling. The fourth highlight is now appropriate because you've started to build the trust with the testimonials and the feedback in the third highlight. So now we move on to where you are talking more explicitly about how you work with people. What do you have to offer? What do your services or packages look like? What is it that you are selling? What is your latest product collection? And who is it best for? With both instances, whether you're a service provider or a product-based business or a creative or a consultant, what do you have to offer and who is it best for? And ideally, you would talk about the benefits as well. Why should people care and why should they invest in your product or service? And the fifth highlight, now that we have taken people on that journey and we have just told them about how they can work with us or buy from us, now we are literally telling them how they can take that next step. Do they send a DM to start the process of working together? Do they head to the link in your bio to find out more about your products and services and fill out an application form? Do they check out your Instagram shopping feed? Do they go and have a look at a guide that you have created on Instagram to find out more about what you have to offer? Whatever that looks like, whatever that next step is, tell people explicitly how they can take it. You can use screen recordings, you can use photos, whatever it is, however you can best illustrate that next step. Do that in that fifth and final highlight. Now, some questions that I get about Instagram story highlights are, how long should Instagram story highlights be? Now, as with your Instagram stories, I would keep these relatively short and sweet. Between 5 slides per highlight and up to 10, I wouldn't go any more than this. Again, if you make them too long, people will not sit through them and they won't then get to the next highlight. And rather than focusing too much on someone sitting through the entire individual highlight, we really want to take them on that journey to the next one and the next one. So that's why it's important that you don't make each of them too long. How often should you update your Instagram story highlights? I would recommend updating them at least every 3 months, if not a little bit sooner. Ideally, kind of 8 to 12 weeks maximum. If somebody has a look at your Instagram story highlights and they see that the content is 35 weeks old, it just looks like that has been forgotten and it feels a bit outdated. It feels to the viewer like perhaps the content that you're talking about isn't relevant anymore. So I would try to keep it updated 8 to 12 weeks at a time. Are highlight covers important? Do you need to design up something really lovely and branded? Don't stress too much. You don't need to get these cover images designed up all fancy. You don't need to use a designer. I just make sure that my cover images are in my branded colors, and that is as fancy as it gets. You just want to make sure that there is some uniformity, there is a nod to your branding. You just don't want it to be screenshots that have been pulled from the content within the highlight, because that will look very messy and it won't entice people to click through and look at the highlights. So just make sure they're simple and branded. That's as far as it needs to go. Now, a question I get a lot is, how can I reorder my Instagram story highlights? Because obviously in today's video, I've talked a lot about the order of your highlights being really important. But as you might know, when you add content to a highlight or you refresh the content, what will happen is that highlight will jump to the front of the queue. And yes, that will mess up the order of your highlights. So let me show you how you can actually fix this with a bit of a workaround. So if you go onto your profile, and I'm going to do this with mine now, and actually mine is slightly out of whack, so this is a great time to show you how I can fix this. So what I do is I go into the Instagram story highlight that I want to bump to the front of the cube. So I want to move hello to the front. So what I do is I open it up, and I will go to the 3 dots in the bottom that says more, and I will edit the highlight. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a random piece of content. So where it says selected, click add on the right hand side, and I'm going to click any piece of content because I'm not keeping this here. This is just a hack to move that highlight to the front. So I'm just going to click on this random bit there. Okay, done. And there we go, it bumps to the front. Now, I didn't want that piece of content there, so I'm just going to go back into the highlight, click more, click edit, and I am going to scroll down and I'm going to remove that piece of content. Done. It stays in the same place and I have removed that random piece of content from that highlight. So that is how you can move your highlights up and reorder them, bump them up to the front of the queue. And if you are wondering whether you have to upload your cover images to Instagram stories to then save them down, no, you don't. That is one part of Instagram story highlights that doesn't need to be old content. So again, if I go into the hello example and I click on that highlight, if I click the 3 dots in the bottom and I click edit highlight, you'll see at the top of that screen, it says edit cover. And that is where I can go into my gallery. I click on that little image icon, the first thing I see beneath the circle, beneath the avatar, and that will take me to my gallery. So I don't have to share this to my stories. I can go to my gallery and find an image that I've already created to save as my cover. Now, I recommend you go away and outline what your new Instagram story highlights are going to look like. What is the order going to be and what is the content going to be within each highlight? Remember, short and succinct is key. And then what you will need to do is share those stories over the next couple of weeks and save them down as your new highlights. If you enjoyed this video, definitely go and check out this video here, which is about how to increase views and engagement on your Instagram stories. And the same principles also apply to your Instagram story highlights. And then go watch this video here about how to create really great Instagram content. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you never miss a new video when it drops to this channel every single week. And I will see you next week for a brand new one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.